Why, hello, Naburine.
Hi.
Are you ready to learn again?
I'm ready to learn.
Is there something in particular you would like to learn?
Um, I would like to learn more about bots and the various things that they can do because that would involve that would play into strategy later and perhaps even viewers would change their own strategies based on what uh information is here.
That is something I can talk about. With strategy, you talking about like overarching strategic or just like the details of
No, the
how...
details and how you would go, because like if I know, hey, this bot does this, then my own personal strategy might change for later, where it's like, oh, I want to build this specific thing so that I have this for later.
Yeah.
That so a personal strategy is based upon what you know is there. I can't have a strategy at all. You can teach me your strategy and you don't want to do that on stream for obvious reasons, but then I'm just using your strategy. So that, you know,
Well, I mean, my strategy is no secret because anyone who plays a game can see the replay and you can see your opponent's strategies. That's one of the great things about this game is when I lose, I go and I watch what the other person did and I go, oh, well, now I know why I lost. They did X, Y, and Z. So that's kind of a cool thing about this game. Like there's no secrets. It's just learning, right? And some people just have more skill than others. I am one of those people that falls into the others category. I'm in that weird space where I have a very high level of skill in our particular circle of players, but when I go up against people who play like super sweaty, it gets bad.
yeah.
It gets bad.
Okay, well,
Okay, so we will do and we're going. You surprised me.
look, keyboard shortcuts.
Yes, there's a lot of them.
Draw, pause, wait, reclaim, repair, track unit, set target, run low. Holy crap. There's so many. I feel like this is actually what I need to learn, but it's not like you can just pull that up. So a set target, like Y, you can just set your target. You can R to repair everything. A is attack. You can stop things with S.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot that goes on.
So knowing those automatic keys, I think, is probably one of the most important things, but that would be a study up. Like anybody can do that, they just have to study.
So if you
Which sounds like work.
If you click on the keys button in the upper right,
I liked the other. I liked the. Oh, shut up.
Please choose your starting location.
Please choose your starting location.
So all of these, you have to like look at it and it tells you all the thing. Sure, whatever. But the other one actually showed a keyboard and what the keyboard keys did. So that's cool.
So I picked a different map this time, because they're all different, and they all have their own idiosyncrasies. This particular one is very flat. This is a very popular map in 1v1.
Yeah.
Incredibly popular map.
Oh, because they go fast.
It's flat. Very flat. Decent amount of metal, so you can go vehicles on this map. So you wanted to talk about some of the strategies with like bots versus vehicles, and a general overview is you either start with bots or you start with vehicles. You do not want to start with aircraft because they build so slow and are incredibly expensive, and they're very weak. They're very strong in specific situations, but you always want to start with either a bot lab or a vehicle plant.
Okay, question. What's it doing on my thing? I have a green circle over here on the corner of that map, and then this, and I don't understand.
You didn't select a starting location.
I know. I know. It won't let me. There. Okay. Ugh.
Yeah. That's actually one of the recommended starting locations, is those two spots there, and you either move up or move down.
It's showing me a thing. Oh, probably something I accidentally built because I was pushing buttons up here. I don't know.
Yeah, lots of buttons you were pushing. So go ahead and queue up. I'm going to switch over to your screen here.
I'm still trying to figure out what it's telling me that I'm about to build, so...
Just cancel it, select a different thing, and create your initial queue. So just select one thing without hitting shift and click on one thing. Like one next.
I fixed it. It's gone.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm looking up here, and it looks like only, let's see, average wind speed is 3, so I want solar.
Yeah, there's actually no wind on this map. It's disabled. I believe it's disabled. The thing to remember with solar collectors is they cost a lot more metal than wind.
Okay.
So just so you're aware.
It's a very gray, disgusting map.
Yeah, that's people don't like this map because it's just meh. But it provides a lot of fun gameplay.
Oh, dang it.
Just right click on it, Misclicks.
Yeah, I got rid of the queue.
Yep. Just finish it back up. This is part of learning. This happens to everybody. I don't know how many times I've done stuff like that.
No, not tab. Ugh. You said tab one time and now I'm like... So I'm trying to make the bot lab.
Brackets.
Thank you.
And then you can even start the build queue in your bot lab before it's finished.
I didn't know that, and now I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you come here.
So you're only making 65 energy. So you might want to drop another solar. Just because each solar gives you 20 all the time. And once you start building, you could just drop it anywhere, but that's fine.
Yeah, I want to just keep it organized.
You want it pretty?
Yes.
You would hate my bases.
I have seen your bases. I hate them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So on this map, there's not a lot of use for the Lazaruses early on, but still have one because they're useful for post-combat because they can actually resurrect dead units. Some people use them for that. Some people use... Oh, Advanced Solar. Interesting. So, Advanced Solar is very expensive. Usually, like, I do build them because they're much more efficient. But there's a funky little trick I do to transfer to Advanced Solar. And I usually have a construction turret first, and I eat 2 solar collectors to build an Advanced Solar.
Okay.
But you can go ahead and build that Advanced Solar. It'll just take a while, and then you're using your commander to create all those mexes. So this would be a slower start, which would hurt you in a multiplayer game, but we're not talking about multiplayer. In fact, we wanted to talk about the bots and what they do, right?
Yes.
So, if you get a build queue going for everything, let me know, and then select your bot lab, and I'll talk about what each bot is good for. Energy converters, a good choice after those, because one Advanced Solar gives you 75 energy, and one energy converter uses 70, so 1-to-1 gives you nice and balanced with a tiny little surplus. Okay, you ready for bot lab explanations?
Hold on.
Okay, no worries.
So to select all of that same, it's Control?
Control Z.
Control Z.
Control C selects your commander. Control B selects all available builders. Control D, don't press it, self-destructs
right,
all
everything.
Selected units. You have 5 seconds, and if you press it again, it cancels it.
Okay.
All right, select your bot lab. I'm going to switch back to my screen here. So.
I've got the ticks. I know that those are scout bots and they're annoying.
Mm-hmm. So the tick is incredibly powerful, but takes skill to use. It is very, very fast. It is very, very weak, but it has less than half the metal of the pawn, has half the DPS of the pawn. So
DPS being
damage per second. So ticks actually do a lot of damage, but they die really fast.
Right. But you can pump them out, and it's like, oh my gosh, go away. Like
yes, and also they're a good way to get sight for longer range units, and they distract other units targeting because they want to go after those units instead, right? So that's just something that can happen there. The pawn is just disposable. I shoot things bot. It's fast. It does a lot of damage. It has obscene DPS for how cheap it is, but it has to get real close to use it. And in groups, they're scary. By themselves, not so much. The Rocketeer is the next one to talk about. Rocketeer is slow. It has a very low rate of fire, but the rocket it fires does a lot of damage and is quite long ranged. It actually outranges light laser towers, and currently is one of the metas in multiplayer matches. People build a lot of Rocketeers because they can outrange the laser towers and they can snipe commanders. The Mace is a light plasma bot. It's kind of the all-purpose bot that you would go to after finishing pawns. They're slower than pawns. They do less DPS, but they have a better range, and they have an area of effect. When the projectile hits, it explodes, and it does damage to units in an area. It's a small area, but it stacks when there's a lot of them.
sure. Yeah.
The Centurion, it says anti-swarm bot. It is designed to kill lots of little cheap things. So if someone
So
comes
that
out
would
to
be
you-
your anti-tick.
Yes, that is one option. They're quite expensive, and they're slow, but they do the same amount of damage and have the same range as a light laser tower, and they can move.
So say I had a Centurion in that choke point, or it's a Centurion or two in the choke point of the last video.
Mm-hmm.
That would be helpful because anything that would try to swarm the base, those would at least be like, hey, stop.
Yes, they fire lasers. Lasers do less damage at the edge of their range and more damage close up. They have a fall off. All laser weapons, no matter what the unit, just so you're aware of that.
Okay.
Something else to remember. And then the last one is the anti-air bot. It happens to be amphibious for reasons. I think because the original one was amphibious in Total Annihilation. But it shoots things in the air. It's okay at it. It's pretty cheap. It's good protection against tier 1 anti-air. Other than that, that's it for those bots there. With ARM bots, they tend to be a little weaker and a little faster than their Cortex counterparts. The Cortex Grunt is just straight up better than the Pawn because the Cortex do not have a scout unit. The Tick has long sight and high DPS and very cheap. The Grunt is about the same cost as the Pawn, has much longer range than the Pawn, does a little less damage, is a little slower, but it's better, straight up better, because you also have to use it as a scout.
Okay,
So
but I'm not playing Cortex, and
I
I've
know.
never played
I'm
Cortex.
just explaining that there are differences. So like one Pawn versus one Grunt, close up the Pawn wins, but if the Grunt keeps kiting and running away, the Pawn's gonna win. So there's all sorts of little matchups like that with various units. Range is just as important as damage, which is just as important as how fast is the projectile moving? What kind of projectile is it? There's a lot of stuff to keep track of. So I'll move over to the tier 2 units if you want me to talk about those.
Sure.
So we already know about the construction unit and the butler, and I see you've already queued them up.
Yes.
There's the decoy commander, which can be useful in very niche situations. It has the same build power as a real commander. It can capture like a real commander. It does not blow up like a real commander, and its D-gun is fake.
Okay, so you can't use it to actually like freak people, like take things apart, like people.
Yeah, I mean, and it can build some units. It can build basic eco buildings. It can build laser towers and stuff like that. But
so if I wanted to like say push forward, and I could make one of these and be like, surprise, I'm over here, right? And I can use him to build up a secondary base without worrying about, oh, the construction bot can't get over there type of a thing.
Yeah. I would use like a construction vehicle or something instead, because if you look at the cost.
Yeah.
So if you hover over and look at the cost, it costs almost twice as much as an advanced construction bot and can't do a lot of the things. The reason you're building so slow, by the way, is you're energy starved.
Yes.
So build energy. I'd throw down just because your energy starved right now and advanced solar takes a lot of energy. Yes. Build a couple of regular solar panels. Just kind of boost that energy production. And that'll help build your units a little faster. Because tier 2 take a lot more energy. Like, the most expensive unit in the tier 1 lab is the Centurion, which is 270 metal and 3100 energy. The cheapest unit in the tier 2 lab is the Compass radar bot, which takes 100 and 1250. No, sorry, it's the Smuggler Jammers. Take a little bit more energy, but less metal. But your combat units are all in the 300s to 600, no, 6 to 500s usually. But there's, oh, you're building an anti-nuke, okay.
Yes, because I know that having one available is better to do now instead of like, oh, shoot, later.
That's a good instinct. You're going to need a lot more energy.
Yeah, I know.
So I would have your construction bot build some more of those advanced solar collectors. Well, no, actually,
yeah.
Use your commander or your construction bot to build more regular solar collectors just because you're energy starved and you have metal. Because they cost 0 energy to build, only metal. The economy balancing never goes away. It's always a tightrope walk. And the umbrella is quite expensive energy-wise. You can see 30,000 energy. Worth it, though. They're really useful bots to have.
Well, and you sit here, like, oh, everything's fine. You go from, like, 1,000,000 energy, you're wasting energy, to...
That's why paying attention to the income is just as important to how much you have. Because 2,100 energy in storage sounds like a lot until you see that won't even pay for a single Tech 2 bot in most situations. So you need, like, if you were just trying to bank stuff, you would need tens of thousands of energy storage just to build stuff. It's all about energy production. Metal storage is a little easier because things use less metal. There's your giant steampunk spider thing.
And now suddenly I have a lot of energy.
Yes, because he took a lot of energy to build. So, we'll talk about these other bots here. So you've got the Ghost Invisible Spy bot, which is really interesting. It's stealthy. Stealthy means it does not show up on radar. It can cloak, which means it can go invisible. So it can go completely invisible, no radar, no visibility. And things that are cloaked can be seen by something called a counter intrusion detector or by a unit just getting too close to it. So it is very good at finding out what your enemy's doing. And if you self-destruct it, it blows up with an EMP and it can stun things by blowing up. So that's something you can do to, like, somebody's got a anti-nuke in their base. You sneak one of those by it, blow itself up, and then you can launch a nuke because suddenly their anti-nuke is stunned and can't do anything about the nuke coming in. Very sneaky, very cruel.
So if let's really quick, because I made the umbrella, right? It's a mobile anti-nuke. It can move and get rid of a nuke early.
Mm-hmm.
What do you suggest doing with it once it is done? Because you don't necessarily
keep it in your base.
Okay, because if you select bots, it will move with them, and you don't want them.
You can use a control group to select it instead. So if you select it and hit Control 1, and now select something else, Now press 1. You selected it again, huh?
Yeah.
So now you can always just select it.
Okay.
And if you select all things, like if you just do a big drag select, you can see it is in the selected units. You right click it, it will deselect it. That's the other thing.
Yeah, but that
you
means
do.
you need to know where it is.
No. Select it all. Look in the lower left-hand corner. You can see there's this.
The unit groups.
You can see how many units you have, and then right-click the umbrella, and it will deselect it.
Got it. Okay.
And if anybody at home is laughing about that, don't laugh. These are things that are not intuitive to people who do not play real-time strategy games. Did your commander build himself into a box?
Yes, he did.
He is.
He's idle right now.
Can he move out of there?
Maybe. We'll see. Let's see.
Your energy is sad again.
Or at least if he can't, I don't know. We'll see. Let's try and move him a little bit further.
Nope.
Yeah, he's in a box.
So reclaim that solar collector right in front of you. So you'll notice that your metal income didn't go up at all. You don't get the metal for a functioning structure until it's fully reclaimed. And that's because repairing in this game is free. Anyway, we'll go back to talking about these bots now.
Yes.
So Compass is a radar bot. It is radar. That's pretty self-explanatory. A smuggler is a radar jammer bot. It blocks radar in a specific circle. That's pretty self-explanatory again.
Right.
The Weber shoots a laser that stuns things. And I believe it explodes with an EMP as well. I'm not sure. And it can reclaim. So its thing is it like stuns things and then eats them.
So if you put it to maneuver, will it do that alone, or will you have to make it do that?
The stun?
Like any of it?
It has a laser. So you have to tell it to reclaim things, I think. I don't think it will auto-reclaim enemy units, but it will automatically shoot at them. The Sprinter, which you've built, is just a bigger, faster pawn.
Right, yeah.
But it's actually used more like a tick than it is a pawn, because it's very squishy for Tech 2. Very, very squishy. But it's incredibly fast. It's got a speed of 111, which is faster than most things that aren't ticks or rovers in the game. I think it's faster than some aircraft, actually, which is funny. And it does a crazy amount of damage too with its gun. But again, it's rapid fire, it's close in. It has the same kind of weapon that a pawn does, it's just a little bigger. So that's it's just for something like sneaking around somebody's defenses, getting behind and blowing up their economy real quick with just a small group of those. You don't want a huge mass of them necessarily, because it's a lot of resources for not a lot of payoff, because if they run into anything that can fight, they're in trouble. The Welder Assault bot is just a chunky infantry bot. He's slow, he zaps things, and he's got a little bit of an AoE on the zap, so a group of these can blow up a lot of small units relatively quickly. And they're tough. They're pretty tough. They have 2,900 health. The Gunslinger, they call it a skirmish bot. It's reasonably quick. It's got fairly long range. The cool thing about the Gunslinger is it has its own auto repair system. If it's not damaged for a little bit, it will repair
then it'll
itself.
Repair itself. Okay.
And the more kills it has, the longer range it gets.
Okay.
Hound we know about. It's a long-range bot. The cool thing about the Hound, select a Hound real quick. You'll see in the upper right-hand corner of its command screen there.
Heavy plasma.
If you click that, it will go over to Gauss Cannon.
Gauss Cannon,
So the Gauss Cannon does a little bit less damage, but the projectile moves much faster and has 0 AoE. So if you've got a group of Hounds and you're fighting somebody and they come at you with a bunch of Raiders, and your AoE isn't hitting them because the blob moves slow, you switch over to Gauss Cannon and suddenly you're landing your shots. But usually you just want to leave it on your heavy plasma because it just does so much damage. Next is the Recluse, which is an all-terrain rocket spider. It's kind of a poor man's artillery. It fires a bunch of rockets in an area. It does a lot of damage, and it can climb vertical cliffs. It can climb any terrain. So you can sneak up behind somebody with anything that says it's all-terrain, and ruin their world. The Fat Boy. Oh boy. The Fat Boy is a giant gun.
Got that.
It's a giant gun, and it has a giant AoE. It's expensive, but it hurts a lot, and it can blow up huge amounts of smaller units. The Sharpshooter is one of my favorites. It costs 500 energy every time it fires, but one shot from a Sharpshooter will kill almost any unit that is not tier 3, which you haven't even got to yet, because we're still learning about economies and units here. Tumbleweed, Amphibious Rolling Bomb. It is a ball that goes boom.
Which is everybody's favorite type of ball.
Unless you're receiving them. They're easy to kill, but when you kill them, they go boom. So there's a lot of them. It can be challenging. The Platypus is an amphibious bot. It is interesting. It is kind of weak. It doesn't do a ton of damage. It's got a laser and a anti-aircraft missile launcher, and it can drive around like a speedboat on water and run around on legs on land.
Okay.
Archangel is a very slow anti-air bot. Does pretty well against air. Slow waddling means it takes a while for it to get anywhere. For defending mobile groups of units, you're better off building the shredders out of the vehicle plant. But these guys are pretty good for defending static positions. And then the Umbrella Mobile Anti-Nuke you know about.
Right, yes.
Oh, I see. You're killing things.
I have pushed forward with the bots, yes.
See what I mean about the DPS, about those guys? They just shred stuff as you get close. And you can see that that Overwatch is giving you a very hard time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and you blew up Twilight, which is it's a metal extractor that's cloaked, and when it blows up with EMP, and it stunned all your units, so they can't move.
Not all of them.
It stunned the units near it.
Yeah.
That can be a big problem if you've got a lot of bad guys around you. Like if you're a raider and you're running around raiding stuff and that blows up, suddenly the defenders can catch you. See, there's another one. Another Twilight. There you go, yeah. And you see the EMP affects his units too. You can see how far out that stunning goes. And those units that are stunned might take more hits from that gauntlet. No. So this isn't necessarily an intro to tactics here, but you're getting an idea of what different bots can do.
Yes.
And what you gotta watch out for.
Knowing what bots do what, like I said, is an introduction to tactics.
Yeah. But again, you can see why I love Hounds so much. They make things break.
Yes.
You have to be careful with some things like energy storages because they blow up with an AoE and you see you lost a bunch of units there. All your quick fast guys are dead.
So you don't get close, yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, hello, friend. Found his commander.
Yep. You don't have enough to kill the commander.
But I've got a lot of his stuff over here, so that's nice.
Because all you have left are anti-air bots, and they're just going to die. So in a situation like this, where I know the units are going to die, I will Control D them as close to something as possible, hoping the AoE kills everything. And it also doesn't leave a wreck. You weren't quite fast enough, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, because I didn't know I don't know what they are. See, that's the thing is, if I'm just moving, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, you don't know the units by sight yet.
No.
Gosh, grouped hounds are just they're so obscene. The damage is just, oh, I love it. Watch out for deadly pants over there. He has deadly pants. Whoa! D-gun. Spicy. So you want to stay out of his D-gun radius, but still snipe him if you can. The hounds have a long enough range and they're fast enough they can stay on the edge. And you can just kind of kill him.
Mm-hmm. I've got some more coming.
He's almost dead. I can see his health. There he goes.
There he goes.
So that help a little bit?
Yeah, I have a better idea of things I can do, but if I don't know... See, because I can know all the bots and what they do, and I have a better idea of what to do. But if I don't know them by sight, then it doesn't even matter anyway, because I can't select them quickly. So selecting them quickly, if you drag and you select everything will show up in that lower left-hand side.
It has military priority, so it'll select all of your military units. It won't select like your solar panels, your builder, your commander.
Okay, but once I have, all of the military things there, if I know, because I have to know this only shoots at air, because I didn't know that one of my military bots only shot at air. I had no idea.
So there's a way to tell. You know how it's got an icon? If you come over here, I'll show you.
I can see.
So there's an icon in the lower corner here. If it's got a circle around it, it shoots ground. If it just has a little thing where it's kind of curved, doesn't have a full circle, it will only shoot at air. And it'll have like a little arc, and that's your anti-air bot.
Okay, what other little things do I need to know about with lower left-hand corners?
So those lower left-hand corner, it also tells you what kind of unit they are. Like a lightning bolt is a welder. Artillery tends to be the little double dash, has like a couple of shells on it. Sometimes it's just a single big dash like the Fat Boy has. There are units like the Platypus where it can actually shoot air and ground. And so it's got the arc, but it also has a little like crosshair in the middle, signifying that it's got lasers. And if you look over at the Centurion, it's got that little star crosshair. That means the unit fires lasers.
Okay.
So there's a lot of little things that you pick up as you play the game that aren't readily apparent.
Yeah. Well, and like you were saying earlier, right, is if anybody's laughing about that, like, I don't play these types of games.
Yeah, exactly.
So to get somebody to want to play this type of game, you have to tell those people about those little things, because we're not going to know what that means. We have no idea. So,
but as you learn, like if you zoom out, you can kind of start seeing some of the things and seeing, oh, I know what that is because I see that icon and I remember what that icon was. Like I can select hounds and know it's a hound because of the icon. The other thing to remember is Tech 2 units have slightly bigger icons than Tech 1 units. Tech 3 units or experimentals have even bigger icons.
An experimental is Tech 3?
Tech 3, yes. You haven't gotten there yet.
No, I know I haven't gotten there.
You haven't built an economy capable of building one yet. Like with all the metal you spent on all these solar collectors, for example, you could have built, I'm pretty sure you could have built a fusion reactor with that much. I mean, you needed the energy at the time, but the reason you needed the energy at the time is because you went Tech 2 too early before you had built up your energy economy. So there's just all sorts of stuff that comes with experience. Like that's not a criticism. That's just, this is why it happened.
Why it happened. Yeah.
Right. And if you just try to beat somebody on solar panels, they'll kill you every time because they've just got more metal to put into units.
So I have a question then.
Okay.
If you're looking up at my energy right now, you can see that the economy says I'm using more than I'm making, but the energy is way the heck up here. Is that because I had energy stored and it's showing me the energy stored?
No, what's happening there is you have energy converters running, and you see this as 56% next to it. Energy converter units usage. Everything over that. So there's kind of the yellowy square and there's the red square. The yellowy square is anything above this point will power energy converters. Red square, anything above this will be shared with your team or just be wasted, right?
Right, yeah.
So the energy, what's happening is it's going up, hitting that, oh, I can't use, I'm using all the energy, it's going down, and then it drops back down to that conversion slider, and so it's only using 56%, and it's fluctuating so much and so quickly that the game's not reporting it super accurately. So you're basically, just consider it like it's even, and you're just capped right there, and anything over that's going into your converters, which is being turned into metal at 56%.
Okay, see, and that's confusing to me because when you see a bar, right, that is full up to a certain point, that's what you look at instead of the little tiny numbers over here that you have to compare. So that's confusing to me. Where
That's
it's like,
where you're wrong, kiddo.
Yeah, so
at least with this game.
Right, I know, but that's obnoxious.
So I'll remind you that the game is called Beyond All Reason.
I know.
Expecting it to be reasonable is just a failing
I
proposition.
like reason in my games.
There is reason here, but it's unreasonable reason.
Yeah. Anyway, so that is important too, as far as economy goes, is knowing no, it's the little tiny numbers that you have to watch, and not the bar.
Exactly. All right.
Super obnoxious.
Do you have any other questions before we close this one out?
I don't think so. Now I know first and second tiers and what they can do and what they might be able to
and
help
I mean,
with.
and we just covered the bots because there's also vehicles and aircraft as well, and we can do specific things for those, or you can figure out those on your own, just playing around with them. Because I figured everything out by just kind of playing around with it.
Right, and that's, I think most people will. But I've noticed that the bots tend to do air. And you mentioned that once somebody has air, like, you gotta get rid of the air.
You gotta go air. Yeah, you have to have air defense because bombers can give you a real hard time if you don't have enough anti-air. And the best anti-air is just a swarm of fighters.
I think probably we should do one of these about air itself, because air is a totally different game to me.
Okay, so I will ask you this question, and you can think on it for next time. Would it be helpful for me to talk you through how to build air, or to watch me build air and see how I do it and apply that to how you play the game, if I'm talking through it at the same time?
Talking, especially in a game where everything has to happen and you need to get used to the button clicking, is not as efficient as learning how to do it by touch. So,
okay.
As you talk and I move, then that's important. And if anybody's watching trying to learn based on this being a tutorial, then that's what I suggest as well, as having your own game up while watching. And that way, if we're talking about button pushes, you can learn them as well.
Yeah, and if you're watching this to learn how to play the game, that's one thing, but this is not this is how you win in multiplayer matches. This is, how do I push the buttons? I don't know what's happening kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, because
this is a person who has hyper-focused on this game for a few weeks, talking to his wife who wants to learn how to play and has no time to hyper-focus on this game. So, if you are looking for this is how to sweat this game, this is not where you go. And
as sweaty as I am, I'm not great.
Yeah.
I will make mistakes. By all means, though, if you have comments on how to better teach someone, feel free to leave them in the comment section.
But be kind, because there's no reason to be rude.
Yeah, if you're unkind, it might not last. Anyway, thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you next time.
Okay, bye.